She notices you before you say a single word. The way you walk into the room, the way you stand when you're waiting in line, the way your eyes meet hers or don't. Every detail is sending a message before you even open your mouth. Here's the catch. Most men have no idea what they're communicating. They think attraction comes from clever lines, expensive dinners, or long conversations. And maybe you've been there. You're talking to a woman, the conversation feels fine, you're being polite, but nothing changes. No spark, no pull, just a polite smile and a slow fade. That's because real attraction often starts before words ever leave your mouth. The smallest, most subtle moves done with the right energy can trigger something primal. A slow head tilt that makes her feel seen. A pause before speaking that draws her in. A half smile that feels like a private secret between the two of you. These aren't flashy tricks. They're quiet signals of confidence and control, the kind that make a woman curious, even if she can't explain why. And here's where Stoicism comes in. When you control yourself, you control the message your presence sends. When you stop fidgeting for her approval and start moving with calm intention, she feels it and she responds. Today, I'm going to show you 9 tiny moves that can change the way women see you instantly, even if you say nothing at all. Once you know them, you won't need to force connection. It will happen naturally. Let's get into it. Number 1. The slow head tilt. Most guys completely underestimate how powerful this one is. A slow head tilt done at the right time can send a signal of presence, warmth, and subtle intimacy without you saying a word. But the key here is that it has to be slow and deliberate. This isn't a twitch or a nervous adjustment. It's a controlled, almost unconscious-looking shift that says, I'm here, I'm listening, and I'm paying attention to you. Let me paint you a real-life picture. Michael, 48, is a project manager in Denver. He's sitting across from Sarah, 45, on their second date at a small jazz lounge. The lighting is low, the music soft. She's telling a story about a trip she took to Italy years ago. Michael is already facing her, but as she reaches the part where her eyes light up, he tilts his head slightly to the right, just a few degrees, and holds that position while keeping his eyes locked on hers. He doesn't rush to respond. He just lets the gesture and his stillness say, "Go on, I'm here with you." That moment lands harder than he realizes. Why? Because a slow head tilt does 2 things at once. First, it lowers perceived barriers. From an evolutionary standpoint, exposing the side of your neck even slightly is a vulnerable position. It's a non-verbal way of saying you're not a threat. Second, it focuses your attention. You're physically aligning yourself to her, showing you're invested in what she's saying, not just waiting for your turn to speak. And here's the real kicker. When you combine the head tilt with steady eye contact, you create a micro bubble between the two of you. Everything else in the room fades for her. She feels like she has your undivided attention, and that's rare, especially in a world where most men are glancing at their phone every 2 minutes. But let's be clear, timing matters. You don't tilt your head the second she starts talking. That comes off rehearsed. You wait until she hits a point in her story where she's emotionally invested. It could be when she's smiling, reminiscing, or even sharing something vulnerable. That's when you tilt, hold, and stay present. Michael told me later that Sarah leaned in slightly as she kept talking, almost without realizing it. That's the physical pull you create when you use this move well. She feels closer to you without you having to close the gap yourself. Now, you have to be careful not to overuse it. If you're tilting your head every other sentence, it stops being powerful. Think of it like seasoning too much, and you ruin the flavor. Just enough and it transforms the dish. 1 or 2 well-timed tilts in a conversation can make a bigger impact than 10 random ones. Another thing to keep in mind is your facial expression. A head tilt paired with a blank stare can feel cold or even intimidating. Pair it with a slight softening of your eyes, maybe even the ghost of a smile, and you've got a signal that lands exactly where you want it to, in the space between comfort and intrigue. From a Stoic perspective, this move is the physical embodiment of presence. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The slow head tilt is you showing, not telling, that you're listening fully, without distraction, and that is magnetic. Think about the last conversation you had with a woman you were interested in. Did you spend it waiting for your turn to talk, or did you give her those moments where she felt completely seen? The slow head tilt is one of the simplest ways to make that happen, and once you start using it intentionally, you'll notice how often she responds with longer answers, more detail, and more openness. Drop a comment and make it yours. I listen fully. And if you think giving her your full attention is powerful, wait until you see how one tiny flick of an eyebrow can shift the entire dynamic in your favor. Number 2. The One Eyebrow Raise. This one is pure micro-expression magic. The one eyebrow raise done right creates a tiny ripple of intrigue and challenge without you saying a single word. It's subtle, it's fast, and that's why it works. Most men don't have the timing or the restraint to pull it off, but when you do, it instantly shifts the energy between you and her. The key is intention. You're not just randomly flexing your forehead muscles. The eyebrow raise works because it's paired with a moment that calls for it. Maybe she's teasing you, maybe she says something slightly outrageous, or maybe she's fishing for a reaction. Instead of giving her a full smile or a verbal comeback, you let one eyebrow rise slow enough for her to notice, quick enough to leave her wondering exactly what it meant. Why is it so powerful? Because it's a micro-challenge. You're signaling, "I heard you, I'm not fully convinced, and now you have my attention." That tiny bit of tension is what makes conversations memorable. In a split second, you've introduced a playful push into the dynamic without being confrontational. There's a psychological principle at play here. Our brains are wired to notice asymmetry in faces. It catches the eye because it's different from the baseline. An eyebrow raise is an asymmetrical movement that says more than a whole sentence could, and unlike a big laugh or a dramatic gesture, it's something she'll read as authentic because you're not trying to put on a show. But here's the trap. Overuse kills it. If you're raising an eyebrow at every little thing she says, it turns from playful to cartoonish. That's why this move is most effective when it's rare. Think of it as a highlight, not the whole conversation. The Stoics would appreciate the discipline this requires. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." The eyebrow raise works only when your internal state matches the signal. If you're genuinely calm, curious, or lightly amused, it comes across naturally. If you're faking it, she'll feel the mismatch instantly. One of the best ways to practice this is to slow down your reactions in general. When she says something that tempts you to respond right away, give yourself a half-second pause. Let your face register the thought before your mouth jumps in. That space allows you to choose whether a subtle eyebrow lift is the right move. And don't underestimate the follow-up. After the raise, you can let a corner of your mouth lift or not. You can hold her gaze for an extra beat before looking away. Each choice changes the flavor of the interaction. The beauty of the eyebrow raise is that it invites her to interpret it, and in that space, her mind starts doing the work for you. From a nonverbal standpoint, this is also a display of self-control. You're not reacting with full-blown emotion. You're showing that you can register something, assess it, and respond in a measured way. That's attractive because it hints at composure, a trait that becomes rarer and more valuable the older we get. Remember, this is not about looking smug or overly skeptical. It's about injecting just enough intrigue to make her lean in a little closer, both physically and mentally. When done right, the one eyebrow raise is an invitation for her to engage, to explain more, or to play along. So next time you're in that moment, she's teasing you, she's challenging you, or she's saying something you can turn into playful tension, resist the urge to overplay your hand. Let the eyebrow do the talking. Drop a comment and own it. Eyes spark intrigue. And if you think a single raised eyebrow can shift her attention, wait until you see how leaning in at the perfect moment can make her feel like you've just pulled her into your world. Number 3. The calm lean. Most guys either lean in too fast or not at all. They miss the fact that leaning in isn't just about closing physical distance. It's about timing, control, and reading the moment. The calm lean is one of those moves that, when done right, makes her feel like you've just pulled her into a private space that no one else is in. Let me give you an example. David, 52, is sitting across from Emily, 47, at a wine bar in Austin. The place is busy, low light, soft jazz in the background. They've been talking for a while, and she's sharing something personal about her career, not overly heavy, but important to her. David's posture is relaxed, his back against the chair, hands resting loosely. As she's speaking, there's a moment when her voice drops slightly and her eyes stay on his. That's when he leans in slowly, steadily, about 6 inches, not rushing, not lunging. Just enough to signal, I'm right here with you. That small shift changes everything. Emily instinctively lowers her own voice, matching his energy. The background noise fades for both of them. It's not just a physical movement, it's an unspoken agreement that the conversation has just gone deeper. The calm lean works because it's rooted in control. You're not leaning in because you're desperate for attention. You're leaning in because you've decided the moment calls for it. That choice and the patience to wait for it communicates something rare: emotional awareness. From a psychological standpoint, this move also triggers subtle changes in her brain chemistry. When someone we're attracted to enters our personal space in a non-threatening way, our bodies release oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's the same reason intimate conversations feel different when you're physically closer. But here's the catch: it only works if you've built enough comfort and trust first. If you lean in too early, it feels invasive. David didn't lean in when Emily was still telling surface-level stories about her day. He waited until she revealed something more personal, and then he matched that vulnerability with his own body language. That's what made it land. Now, here's how most men mess this up. They either lean in the entire time, which kills the sense of contrast, or they jerk forward suddenly, which feels jarring. The power of the calm lean comes from the build-up. You start relaxed, giving her space. You show you're comfortable sitting back and letting the conversation breathe. Then, when the right moment comes, the lean becomes a statement without you saying a word. Your eyes and face need to match the movement. If your body leans in but your eyes are darting around the room, the signal gets lost. Pair it with steady eye contact and a subtle softening of your expression. You're not interrogating, you're inviting. One more thing: the calm lean isn't always about romance. It can be used to emphasize a point, to make a joke feel more personal, or to share something about yourself. But when you use it with someone you're attracted to, it has the added effect of pulling them into your world, even in a crowded setting. And the beauty of this move is that it works in reverse too. You can lean back at certain points to let her feel the contrast. The slight distance makes her want to close it again. That push-pull dynamic is subtle but incredibly effective when you get it right. David later told me that after that moment at the wine bar, Emily started leaning in toward him more often, mirroring his movements. That's a clear sign the connection had deepened, and it all started with one calm, intentional lean. Drop a comment and own it. I move with purpose. If you think closing the gap is powerful, wait until you see how a single touch to your jaw or chin can send an entirely different kind of signal, one that speaks of thought, composure, and quiet confidence. Number 4. The jaw or chin touch. There's something about a man who touches his jaw or chin slowly, deliberately, that captures attention in a way few other gestures can. It's a signal of thought, self-assurance, and a certain grounded presence that women pick up on instantly, even if they can't explain why. Done naturally, it doesn't just say "I'm thinking," it says "I'm in control of what I give away." This move works because it frames you as a man who is comfortable with silence and reflection. In a world where most people rush to fill every pause, taking a moment to touch your chin or jaw suggests that you weigh your thoughts before speaking. It creates a rhythm in the interaction that draws her in. She's wondering what's going through your head, and that curiosity is where attraction begins. From a psychological angle, the jaw and chin are strong, masculine features. Drawing subtle attention to them with a slow, controlled gesture taps into deep, almost primal cues. It's not about flexing or posing, it's about directing her focus without a single word. Timing is crucial here. The chin or jaw touch lands best in moments when you're processing what she's said, when you're considering your next move, or even when you're listening closely. If you do it while she's talking, it works as long as your eye contact remains steady. Otherwise, it risks looking like you're distracted or disinterested. The key is restraint. Too quick, and it loses meaning. Too frequent, and it looks rehearsed. The best version is slow and intentional. Your hand rises from your lap or the table, fingertips grazing along your jawline or resting lightly under your chin, holding there for a moment before dropping back down. That pause is where the magic happens. It gives her space to wonder what's behind your calm expression. The Stoics understood the power of appearing deliberate. Seneca said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." While this quote speaks to controlling emotion, it applies perfectly here. The act of pausing, even for a few seconds, shows you are not reactive. You're not rushing to impress her. You're choosing your words, your reactions, and your presence with care. That composure is magnetic. And it's not just about the touch itself, it's about what follows. When you finally do speak after that gesture, your words carry more weight. You've set the stage for them to land with impact because you've shown you're not a man who speaks without thinking. Another layer to this is the element of quiet confidence. Men who fidget, scratch, or constantly adjust themselves send signals of nervous energy. The jaw or chin touch, when done in stillness, sends the opposite signal that you're comfortable in your own skin, that you can hold a moment without needing to escape it. It's worth noting that this move pairs well with other subtle gestures. A calm lean before you touch your chin can amplify the sense of intimacy. A slight head tilt afterward can soften the gesture, making it feel more inviting. The beauty is that it's adaptable. It can carry a more thoughtful, serious tone in one moment, or a playful, curious tone in another, depending on the expression you pair it with. The danger, of course, is overthinking it. If you start worrying about how it looks, you'll stiffen up, and it will lose all natural flow. The best way to make it feel effortless is to practice slowing down in general in your movements, your speech, and your responses. The more you embody calm, the more natural this gesture will feel. In short, the jaw or chin touch is a physical punctuation mark. It tells her you're engaged, you're present, and you're not giving everything away all at once. And in a world full of men tripping over themselves to fill the silence, that makes you stand out immediately. Drop a comment and own it. I move with intent. And if you think a touch to your jaw can draw her in, wait until you see how holding a pause before you speak can make her hang on to your every word. Number 5. The pause before speaking. Most men think that attraction comes from how quickly they can respond, how fast they can come up with something clever or charming. But here's the truth, it's the opposite. The man who pauses before speaking isn't just controlling the pace of the conversation, he's controlling the energy in the room. And women notice it immediately. Let's put you in a scene. Mark, 44, is sitting with Jessica, 41, at a rooftop bar in San Diego. The city lights are behind her. There's a hum of conversation all around. She asks him a slightly playful, slightly challenging question. So, are you always this confident? Most guys would jump in instantly, rushing to answer in a way they hope sounds good. Mark doesn't. He lets the question hang for a few beats. His eyes stay on hers. His mouth doesn't twitch into a nervous smile. He just lets the silence breathe. And then, with a calm, almost amused tone, he says, "Only when it matters." Lie. That pause made all the difference. Without saying much, he communicated patience, control, and a lack of desperation. He didn't need to rush in to fill the gap because he's comfortable letting her sit in that moment with him. From a psychological perspective, silence creates tension, and in the right context, that tension is magnetic. It's the same principle that makes a song more powerful when there's a beat of quiet before the chorus. In conversation, that pause signals that you're thinking, that your words matter, and that you don't feel pressured to perform for her. Here's where a lot of men mess this up. They pause too long or make it awkward. The sweet spot is just enough time for her to notice you're not rushing, but not so long that she wonders if you zoned out. For most situations, 2 to 3 seconds is all you need. The Stoics valued this exact kind of restraint. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The pause before speaking is you living that out in real time. You're showing her you've heard her, processed what she said, and chosen your response carefully. That is infinitely more attractive than blurting out the first thing that pops into your head. And it's not just about being thoughtful, it's about shifting the dynamic. When you slow down, she starts to slow down too. Your pace becomes the pace of the interaction, and now you're leading without force. The pause also gives you the chance to layer in other non-verbal signals. You can tilt your head slightly, narrow your eyes just a touch, or let a small smirk form before you answer. Each of these adds weight to whatever comes next. Let's go back to Mark and Jessica. After that pause and his short reply, she laughs and leans forward, her energy clearly hooked. She's not just reacting to the words, she's reacting to the way they were delivered. And here's the thing, that delivery is available to any man willing to practice patience and control. One practical way to get better at this is to start small. The next time someone asks you a question, count 1, 2 in your head before answering. At first, it might feel strange, but over time it becomes natural. And when it's natural, it feels authentic, which is exactly what makes it work. In dating, business, or even casual conversation, the man who can hold a beat before speaking is the man who holds the frame. And holding the frame is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever have. Drop a comment and make it yours. I own the moment. And if you think controlling silence is powerful, wait until you see how a simple hand gesture used at the right time can make people hang on to your every move. Number 6. The Hand Steeple. There's a reason you'll see confident leaders, negotiators, and even seasoned actors naturally fall into this gesture, the hand steeple. It's simple: fingertips touching, palms slightly apart, hands forming the shape of a steeple. But when you use it intentionally, it says a lot without you uttering a word. It communicates quiet authority, composure, and control over your space. This gesture works because it signals you're not rushed, not defensive, and not trying to prove yourself. You're grounded, you've got your thoughts in order, and more importantly, you're comfortable letting others talk while you simply are. That kind of presence is magnetic. The psychology behind it is powerful. The steeple is an open gesture, which conveys honesty and confidence, but it also takes up space subtly, showing dominance without aggression. It's the opposite of nervous fidgeting or folded arms, which scream insecurity or self-protection. Instead, it's a statement of, "I'm at ease here, and I belong." In conversation, the steeple works best when you're listening intently. Picture yourself sitting across from someone, your body relaxed, shoulders open, hands in the steeple. She's speaking, and you're nodding occasionally, keeping steady eye contact. You're not interrupting. You're letting the silence do its work. When you finally respond, your hands lower, and you gesture naturally as you speak. That release from the steeple subtly signals that your words have weight, as if you've been holding them back until the perfect moment. The Stoics would have understood the strength in this kind of stillness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, do not mirror chaos with chaos. The hand steeple is physical proof of that mindset. No matter the energy coming at you, flirtation, challenge, even confrontation, you meet it with calm structure. But here's the nuance. Overuse can make it look calculated or arrogant. If you hold it for too long, it starts to feel like a power play instead of a natural posture. The magic is in transitioning in and out of it fluidly. Start in a relaxed position. Let your fingers come together into the steeple naturally during a pause or while listening, then break it when you speak or gesture. That rhythm makes it feel authentic. Another reason the steeple works so well is because it draws the eye to your hands, which are one of the most trustworthy or untrustworthy parts of the body. We're wired to read hands for danger or reassurance. An open, deliberate gesture like this puts people at ease while still holding their attention. Pairing the steeple with other signals can amplify its effect. A calm lean before you form it can show deeper focus. A slight head tilt while holding it can soften the impression, making it more approachable in a romantic context. In more serious moments, keeping your posture tall and your gaze steady while steepling communicates that you're the anchor in the interaction. And here's where it becomes unexpectedly attractive. In a dating setting, most men are physically restless. They fiddle with their drink, adjust their shirt, tap their foot. The steeple sets you apart instantly because it shows you don't need to burn off nervous energy. You're completely comfortable letting her feel the full force of your attention. It's also a frame control tool. In subtle ways, the person who moves less often and more deliberately ends up setting the pace of the interaction. That pace is where attraction grows. She finds herself matching your stillness, your timing, your energy without you ever telling her to. If you want to get comfortable with this gesture, start practicing it in low-pressure situations. In meetings, on calls, even while talking with friends. The more naturally it becomes part of your body language, the more authentic it will feel when you use it in moments that matter. The hand steeple isn't just a pose, it's a statement. It says you have nothing to prove, and yet everything about you is worth noticing. Drop a comment and claim it. I own my space. And if you think holding your frame with your hands is powerful, just wait until you see what happens when you slow your movements down to almost nothing and make her lean in to catch them. Number 7. The shoulder shrug plus smirk. This one is pure casual charm, the kind of move that looks completely unplanned but leaves a lasting impression. The shoulder shrug plus smirk is a body language combination that says, I'm not overly invested, but I'm still having fun here. It blends nonchalance with a hint of playfulness, and that mix is magnetic to the right woman. Here's why it works. The shoulder shrug communicates, it's not a big deal. The smirk adds, but maybe it is, and I'm not telling you. It creates that little push-pull of mystery that keeps her curious, and when you put them together in the right moment, it's like throwing gasoline on a low-burning fire. Picture this. Ryan, 48, is standing next to Lisa, 46, at a backyard barbecue in Denver. They're in the middle of a light debate about which 80-second rock band was the greatest. She throws in a bold opinion, one he totally disagrees with, and gives him a playful, almost daring smile. Instead of firing back with a full argument, Ryan just tilts his head slightly, gives a small shrug of one shoulder, and lets a smirk curl up on one side of his mouth. He doesn't even say a word right away. Lisa bursts out laughing, swatting his arm, and the energy between them shifts instantly. That moment wasn't about the debate, It was about the tension that shrug and smirk created. From a psychological angle, this works because you're displaying confidence without confrontation. The shrug says you're not threatened by her opinion, and the smirk says you're enjoying the back and forth. You're not trying to win, you're letting the interaction breathe, and that's more attractive than trying to dominate it. The smirk, specifically, adds an element of teasing. It's different from a full smile because it doesn't give everything away. A smirk is a half smile, a hint. It makes her wonder what you're thinking, and that wondering is where intrigue is born. Timing is everything with this move. If you shrug and smirk in response to something serious, it can come off as dismissive. But in moments of light disagreement, playful teasing, or mock competition, it lands perfectly. Ryan's example worked because the topic was harmless and fun. The gesture didn't shut down the conversation. It pulled her deeper into it. It made her want to push back again, to keep that playful tension going. Another reason this move is so effective is because it's relaxed. There's no forced posture or exaggerated movement. The shrug is small, the smirk is subtle. If you make it too big, it feels performative. The magic is in its casualness, as if it just slipped out without thought. It's also a great recovery tool. If you say something that doesn't land perfectly, a quick shoulder shrug with a smirk can diffuse any awkwardness. It tells her, "I'm good, no big deal." That self-assuredness is rare and incredibly appealing. From a Stoic perspective, this is a form of practicing detachment. You're not overreacting, you're not emotionally overinvested, and you're showing you can enjoy the game of conversation without being consumed by it. For men like Ryan, and for you, mastering this move means mastering your energy. You're signaling, "I'm here to have a good time, and if you are too, great. If not, I'm still good." That's the kind of frame women respect and gravitate toward. Drop a comment and make it yours. I play it cool. And if you think a shrug and a smirk can spark chemistry, wait until you see what happens when you use your eyes to hold someone's attention just a little longer than they expect. Number 8. The eye plus half smile. There's a reason this combination can stop someone mid-sentence. The right look, steady, focused, but not aggressive, paired with the faintest lift of one corner of your mouth, sends a signal that's part confidence, part curiosity, and part challenge. It's not a full smile, which gives everything away. It's not a blank stare, which feels cold. It's the middle ground, the subtle, sweet spot that makes her wonder exactly what you're thinking. Here's why it works so well. Humans are wired to read faces, especially eyes and mouths, for emotional cues. When your eyes lock in with purpose and you pair it with a restrained smile, you're creating an intentional tension. You're saying, without a word, "I see you, and I might know something you don't." The beauty of the half smile is that it forces the other person to fill in the blanks. Is he amused? Is he intrigued? Is he holding back a thought? That uncertainty keeps her engaged because now she's invested in figuring you out. From a psychological perspective, this is a form of controlled intimacy. Eye contact on its own is already a strong connector. Too much, and it can feel invasive. Too little, and it feels weak. But when balanced with a half smile, it becomes disarming. It softens the intensity of the gaze without losing its strength. The Stoics would frame it as composure in action. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When your inner state is calm, confident, and in control, it shows in your face naturally." The eye plus half smile works best when it's a true reflection of that inner steadiness, not an act you're putting on. Execution matters. This isn't about holding eye contact for an uncomfortably long time or forcing a smirk. It's about letting the look happen in a natural pause, maybe right after she's said something interesting, or when you're about to reply, but let the moment breathe first. A quick half-second too long, then the faint smile, then back to a relaxed expression. The effect: it slows the interaction down, pulling her into your pace. Suddenly, she's wondering why you looked at her that way, and the more she thinks about it, the more space you take up in her mind. One thing to avoid is overuse. If you pair the eye and half smile with every sentence, it loses all meaning. The strength of this move is in its rarity, a flash of connection that stands out precisely because it's not constant. Think of it as a well-placed pause in music. It's the space that makes the note before it resonates more deeply. Used sparingly, this look can turn a casual exchange into a moment she remembers long after the conversation ends. Drop a comment and claim it. I hold the gaze. And if you think a look can leave her replaying a moment in her head, just wait until you see how the lightest touch at exactly the right time can change the entire dynamic. Number 9. The space-claiming gesture. When you walk into a room, people notice how much space you take up, not just physically, but energetically. The space-claiming gesture is about subtly expanding your presence without crossing into arrogance. It's the way you lean back in your chair with one arm draped casually over the backrest. It's how you rest your hand on the bar and let your shoulders relax. It's the way you stand with your feet firmly planted, shoulders open, and chest relaxed instead of caving inward. Think of it as a silent declaration. I'm comfortable here. I belong here. Let's bring this to life. Tom, 52, is at a wine tasting with friends in Napa. Across the table, Claire, 49, is telling a story. Instead of sitting hunched forward or fidgeting with his glass, Tom leans back, one arm resting loosely over the back of his chair, his other hand holding his drink at waist level. His posture is open, his movements unhurried. Claire notices not because he's taking up more space than anyone else, but because his presence feels unshakable. From a psychological perspective, this works because humans instinctively read posture as a cue for status and confidence. Someone who physically contracts communicates uncertainty. Someone who expands communicates assurance. It's primal. Animals do it in displays of dominance, and humans do it, often without realizing, when they feel in control. The trick is subtlety. You're not puffing your chest like you're in a high school locker room. You're not sprawling so wide you look like you're trying to block others out. You're simply relaxing into the space you already occupy, signaling ease and confidence. In social or romantic settings, this gesture also changes the way others interact with you. People tend to lean toward those who seem grounded and open, and women, in particular, pick up on these signals faster than you think. Tom's casual lean didn't interrupt Claire's story, it invited her to engage more, because his relaxed posture suggested he was fully present and enjoying the moment. The Stoics would approve of this quiet confidence. Epictetus reminded us, "No great thing is created suddenly. The same is true for presence. You build it moment by moment, in the way you carry yourself, the way you move, and the way you claim your place in the world without apology." Drop a comment and make it yours. I own my space. And if you think body language can shape attraction this much, wait until you learn the final move, one that ties all the others together and makes you unforgettable without saying a single word. Number 10. The subtle lip bite. Few gestures carry as much unspoken weight as the subtle lip bite. It's a move that lives right on the line between casual and intimate, a quick flash of vulnerability wrapped in confidence. Done right, it can create a jolt of attraction without a single word being spoken. Done wrong, it can feel awkward or forced. Here's the key. It has to be genuine. The subtle lip bite works because it hints at emotion, maybe amusement, maybe curiosity, maybe even a flicker of desire without putting it all on display. It's not a full-on seductive pose. It's a micro-expression, lasting just long enough to be noticed, then gone before it feels deliberate. From a psychological standpoint, part of its power comes from how our brains interpret self-touch around the mouth. The mouth is a high-sensitivity area, not just physically, but socially. Touching it draws subconscious attention. Pair that with a calm, steady gaze or a half smile, and you've got a silent invitation for the other person to wonder what's behind the gesture. In a social setting, this move lands best when it's a natural reaction to a playful tease, an unexpected compliment, or a moment of shared humor. For example, imagine you're listening to someone tell a story, and there's a pause where your eyes meet. You bite your lower lip ever so slightly, then release it with a faint smile before looking away. That tiny shift creates a ripple of intrigue. The Stoic parallel here might surprise you. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." While he was speaking of temper, the principle applies to attraction. Holding something back can be far more powerful than putting it all out there. The lip bite is a form of that restraint. It's not about pushing forward, it's about letting the other person's imagination do the work. It's worth noting that subtlety is non-negotiable here. Overdo it, and it can come across as parody. The magic is in the brevity, a blink, and you miss it moment that leaves the other person wondering if they even saw it. Another layer to this gesture's power is how it contrasts with your overall demeanor. If you've been composed, grounded, and deliberate throughout the interaction, the sudden appearance of something as raw and unfiltered as a lip bite stands out. It's like a crack in the armor, intentional or not. It reveals something more personal. Think of it as the punctuation at the end of your presence, a quiet, fleeting mark that lingers in the other person's mind long after the moment passes. If this video sparked something in you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you never miss the mindset shifts that can quietly change everything. Inside, we don't chase. We lead, and we grow together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.